All right, good morning, boys and girls. So we're on week 9 of the semester. This week we're going to talk a bit about oral presentations because next week for week 10 you have to prepare an oral presentation. And this one is to explain what is it that I want as a structure of the oral presentation and as part of the content and part of the how to present effectively. Okay, so. Part of the structure that I'd like you to use next week's oral presentation, I want you to have a hook. I want you to start with a strong opening, okay? Something that will get the audience attention. Normally in a classroom, well, you would have a bunch of students. In this case, I'm the only one who's going to be watching it, so you have to get my attention. Okay, so you have to figure out a way to get the attention. There are different ways, okay, but it's your responsibility. You need to introduce obviously the topic one way or another. Think about it the same way as when you write a written production. The structure is similar in the sense that there's no hook here, but there's the topic in a way, the thesis statement that you have to introduce. This has to be done sooner than later because obviously we want to know what you're talking about at the beginning of the oral presentation. And then after that, you need argument, so your point of view, the angle, how you decide to tackle the question, and then evidence, you have to use sources. For oral presentation number 1, the sources will be provided by me, but for oral presentation number 2, you will decide. You need a concluding sentence with, I want you to finish with a bang, something that it's going to 1 or 2 sentences, something that is going to make your conclusion strong. Okay, so remember what is it that you wanted to say, and I want you to keep in mind to have good transition between ideas. Okay, so how you structure your oral presentation, does it make sense, the plan that you've made? Now the example that we provided here was this one here, texting that saves lives. Now obviously this is a little bit different because it's a TED talk, but as part of the homework for week 9, you had to have a look at this, and I asked you to complete the questions. And we also have a document on Google Doc. Some students edited the document that I put on Google Doc. I sent you a link for that, so you can go and have a look at what is that you did in order to prepare a good oral presentation, an effective oral presentation. Regarding the content, well, if you use terms, okay, specific terms, or you have to define them early in your oral presentation so we know what's going on. Okay, if for example I start and I talk about the human hybrid being, a hybrid character in my oral presentation without defining what a hybrid character is, then the odds are that you may be lost and you don't understand. So you have to define terms or concepts. You must use external sources. So as I suggested for oral presentation number 1, I will provide the sources. For oral presentation number 2, you're on your own. It's your own research, and I'll talk about it in a couple of weeks when we're about to do oral presentation number 2. For both oral presentations, you must use specific elements of Brave New World. Now, an important word here is specific. It's just want you to use specific. If it's too general, too broad, then you're going to lose points. And then after that, when you quote from external sources, make sure the information is attributed to its original sources. So as suggested by Huxley, just like Huxley says, now here in this video, she doesn't... Miss Lublin doesn't do it. She uses evidence. She quotes from different sources. We're not too sure where, but here I want, for this one and for our presentation number 1 and our presentation number 2, I want you to do it. Now, how to prepare, how to present effectively? Well, here in a way, for oral presentation number 1, the subject, the topic is imposed by me. So maybe you're going to be excited, maybe you won't. It doesn't really matter for that one. But what I want you to keep in mind is how technically, if you choose the topic of your oral presentation, then you should be interested about what you have to say, right? And if you look at this one here, she almost cries at the end. I want to save. I definitely want to save. I want to stop people from cutting. I want to stop people, but I really want to help people stop being raped. I don't know what she says at the end, but it's pretty intense. That she's almost crying. No, I don't want you to be crying here. Okay, don't worry about it. But I want you to be excited about what you have to present. I don't want you to be reading. I'll talk about it. Okay, so in this case, you won't have a PowerPoint. It's going to be done at home. But normally you try not to read because it's very unpleasant for the audience. Okay, so this is why you need to practice, practice, practice. You sometimes, if you want to put emphasis on something that is important, then you pause. This is going to be important. Avoid filler words like like. If you do this, you're going to lose points. Now, the reason why is because sometimes when we do this, it's because we're thinking about what we have to do, and it's normal. But I want you to avoid these. So this is why then it goes back to practice, practice, practice. Right? Relax. So take it easy. I know that for some of you it may be stressful or representation, but it's part of life, guys. It's part of life. That's the way it is. Now this one, I'm assuming that it should be in a way easier because it's done at home. You record yourself, and you can record yourself as many times as you want, and pick the one that you think is the best. Okay, so that's the way it is. Okay, bye bye.